Just like that, we are at the end of the season, but still 2 races to go here tonight in the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series Season 9 here in 2026. We've already crowned our champion last time out. Marcus Byfeldt is here to try and get another couple of victories, and of course all his competitors trying to steal basically their first wins of the season. It's been a dominant season from Marcus Byfeldt and his championship rival Henrik Lindhoff as they've swept every single race, but it is 12 to Byfeldt and only 2 to Lindhoff. Here tonight we will try and finalise the positions at the Suzuka International Circuit. It's myself, Cam Roger, Jake Sperry alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, and it has been a really fun season of GT3 action, but definitely a different class of driver out there on the field. We started way back when in January. It's the Nürburgring before going to Virginia, Laguna Seca, Monza, then recently Interlagos, Brands Hatch, Sonoma a couple of weeks ago, where we crowned Byfeldt as the champion, and now the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix from Suzuka, the final race of the season. And here is the championship. That is not the championship standings for the. That's the oval, not the road course series. But Byfeldt is leading, so that is the exact same that we have been looking at so far this season. It's Lindhoff who is in second place and Mikkel Sundström in third. Now the important thing tonight is Lindhoff is not here, so he'll be taking his drop rounds tonight, which means he is locked in on the points, and that gives Sundström a reasonable opportunity actually to overcome that, and he just needs to get a couple of solid results and he'll be able to overtake Lindhoff for second place in the championship, and that pretty much therefore locks in Dan Holmer into fourth place and Linus Broström in fifth. But of course these things can change around as we are now going into the qualifying session. We have just under 4 minutes to go, 2 minutes lap around here, so another couple of opportunities for the drivers to set their times. And Jake, as you would expect, it is going to be Byfeldt at the front and his teammate of Mikkel Sundström in second place.
Yeah, Sundström looks pretty quick out there as well. He's half a second clear of Adam Alterwill then with the first attempt, and we are focusing on through here the S's, through the Assura S, and now working with that 105 machine, the championship leading car, over the Gyakubank corner and up through Nippo here. This fast left-hander, you're fighting against the car as the circuit just wants to chuck you out into the gravel. It's a wonderful circuit. It's been a wonderful championship run by Marcus Byfeldt, who has proven once again that anything he sets his mind to, he can go out here and say he is the top of Sweden once again. But I would be looking around at saying, look, it's not been a 100% perfect season, but what it has been from the 105 Cam has been very simple. He has dominated at most of the events he's turned up to, and that McLaren has certainly been his trusty deputy to go and work with, and every mark that he hits is absolutely on the limit as he works himself into Spoon, getting himself a little heavy over the right-hand curve, but through the second part of it, he looks very composed and looking to try and improve on that 59.1.
Yeah, he's had every single pole position so far this season. So if he gets another one tonight, that'll be 8 in a row this season. And also continuing on from last season, he's up to I think it's 16 in a row if he gets this one tonight, which will be quite remarkable in all of the road course seasons. He's of course going for the Oval Championship as well next week. That's going to be a whole load of fun as we get to Homestead. So it's a lot of racing here every other week, alternating between the two. As he comes to the line, is he going to be able to improve his time? Yes, he is. Another 10th in the books, and he goes just over half a second from Mikkel Sundström, who goes across the line. He gets a lot closer, though. He's within 0.4 of a second now.
Yeah, he'll take that, and Michael Penninks is also going to be someone who's trying to move up into the top 10. Little down on numbers tonight compared to what we've seen at various other rounds. I know we're on a Swedish holiday out there here at just the end of April, very similar to us in the UK, where we've got the May Day bank holiday coming along on Monday. But Penninks then goes 2.3 seconds adrift on a 2:01.3, and really fighting actually that Ferrari into the opening couple couple of corners as his laps are looking around. He's got 10 laps available to set a time within 10 minutes, but critically here, because we're in heat mode qualifying, if you don't get over the line when the clock strikes 0, that is it. Your qualifying is written off. There's no advancement as Pontus Nordgren then jumps 1 position up past Kenneth Tier, and that puts him to 15th.
And that's why a lot of people are in the pit lane right now. Not enough time to set a lap, as this is definitely one of the longest tracks of the calendar at almost exactly 2 minutes for most of these drivers coming around. This is Thomas Cannell in the 14 car. And I think he's probably not going to have quite enough time, is he, with just under 30 seconds to get back round all the way half of the lap. So it's looking fairly solid for him. Currently in that P11 as it stands, at least getting a final little bit more of practice maybe before we get into the session. He's currently P26 in the standings. He's missed a round, so that will be his drop round. So he's looking to gain his points. Here is the updated standings. I'll quickly join you. There is Byfeldt, Lindhoff, Sundström, Holmer and Broström, the top 5. Of course, not too many points actually between some of these positions. So Gunnarsson, Yokshu, they've got 3 points there. And towards the back end, top 10 as well. Rosefist only 15 behind Frisk. That can very easily change around. But really, it's Sundström and Lindhoff at the top there with just the 27 points. That, to be honest, will be able to be swapped around quite a bit, as it's 50 for a win. And with 25 odd cars on the grid, that means even finishing last, you're basically getting 20 points. So with a good, solid couple of races, Sundström will be able to take that second place. And here it is as well. The 2 teammates nearly on pace. They're going to win the Constructors' Championship this way as well. Byfeldt, Sundström on the front row. Then it's going to be Simray Sweden's Autowill and Holmer. Forsberg and Andres Backman round out the top 6. Filikovsky and Giros are inside the front 4 rows with Gran, Linus Broström, Thomas Cannell and Marcus Hagman, the number 12, in P12. Carlson, Penninx, then Nordgren, Kenneth Tier, Ullman and Rosefist rounding out the top 18. Already quite a few drivers not setting laps actually at the back of the field. We've got Svensson, Magnussen, Schott, Ulrichsen and Marcus Stiller, as ever in the 0-13, doing a last first challenge. Let's see where he ends up as we come to the penultimate round of the season. Of course, a couple of races coming here tonight, but first we'll see what Marcus Byfeldt can do. Very average conditions out there, so the car should be handling very nicely on this 3rd of October evening.
It's going to be a really fun battleground out there here, because Suzuka often presents itself as a track that is a true driver's circuit. If you want a hot lap, this is one of the great circuits in the world to hot lap, but it also presents itself as one where opportunities are earned and there are multiple places on the lap to attack into the Astamo chicane, into the first turn, and critically, you can get the chance done over at the Nissan brake hairpin, the tight hairpin in the middle of the sectors. But they don't have long in this heat race out there for sprint and feature. Just 20 minutes to go and navigate through, so it will mean that you got to make your passes fast and you got to make them frantically out there, and I think that's going to be really telling when we set ourselves down and ready with McLaren and Aston Martin on the front, followed by Aston Martin, Mercedes, Porsche and Mustang. It's a very good mix of the manufacturers up at the front of this field.
And that is one thing I've actually loved quite a bit about this series, is I say all the different constructors, they get up towards the front. Interestingly though, Byfeldt being so strong, and he was strong in the McLaren in the previous GT3 series last year, he also chose it, but not many people choose the McLaren, and I think that is part of his success, especially in the feature race, being able to go longer quite often on the fuel. But now 20 minutes sprint race. It's going to be 1 tank of fuel and a sprint all the way to the end, but then we'll get a feature race after this. Top 15 will be reversed, which, to be honest, is over half the field today, so that could be quite interesting. And then we'll be going racing once again for a slightly longer 44-minute race where they will need a pit stop to get to the end. But the pace truck is going to come in as you work our way through the chicane, and it's going to be Marcus Byfeldt. This is sort of a victory lap here tonight. Can he get 12 victories in a row to end the season? That will be absolutely remarkable. He's on the inside line. He's got a teammate on the outside. Just by turning up today, they got enough points to win the Constructors' Championship, so nearly on pace. Have set the pace this season, and they're going to get the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix underway as we work our way down the front straight. It's a really early green flag, so some opportunity for some slipstream down in towards the first corner. It's looking like we've already got Svenska with the black flag after a full start, and Sundström having to defend a little bit from the Sim Race Sweden cars who go side by side. Altawil should be able to hold on from his teammate, although he is moving all over the place, and it looks like he's held on to third.
Yeah, Joachim Svensson. The green flag came out a little bit later than was expected, so he just timed his run wrong, and as such he will have to come down the lane and serve the drive-through penalty for jumping the start and overtaking before the green flag. But critically, the two teammates happy together, Byfeld and Sundström. They've had a good launch, and the line pretty much sits back quite well. Nicholas Gran has had a very nice start then at this moment in time, but he'll be looking around at the likes then of Andreas Bachmann, who has dropped a couple places here as we work into Degner, and obviously they haven't swept this circuit from the practice and qualifying because that is a lot of gravel on the exit there of Degner 2.
Very easy to make a mistake at that part of the track, but gravel will certainly not help. I see Marcus Stiller is off the back of the field, and there was a car who had a bit of a moment off the grass coming through turns 3 and 4, the S-curve, so I wonder if that was him who's involved in that. Some side-by-side action as we work our way through the hairpin as well. That's one of the best overtaking opportunities apart from the final chicane. Flashing of the headlights as well from Ulrichsen as he tries to get his rival there. A little bit of, oh, in the background we've seen a spin on the entry of Spoon, and that's not the ideal situation. I think it's Kenneth Tier who just loses a few places.
Yeah, it's a half spin, not a full one, so he's tipped the car in. The balance just not there in that Aston Martin. He's had to catch it going through Spoon to make sure that nothing worse comes to wear as Håkan Schert then moves by him and comes, oh, and at 130R, that's going to be straight into the barriers there in the background. Sebastian Magnusson then in the double A is going to be in all sorts of pain for Clutch Club Racing Black. Ultimately has only gone in light, so doesn't look like there's too much damage, but we see that drive-through penalty being taken already and a lap scored then in the early movements. Here's Kenneth Tier.
Was there some contact on his rear left corner? No, couldn't quite see from that angle, just way too much on that inside curb as well. But there was definitely, I think it was Magnussen was looking up the inside. Was this all on his own? Yes, it was, just taking in too much speed. And that was a bit of a weird one, completely off balance. But you do have the same setup for everyone out there, but just going in at the wrong angle. Similarly there for Magnussen, just way too late, and also on the grass, not able to hold the car, and it has a bit of a hit on that inside line. He tries to save it for a long time, and then just not enough road. And actually, that's a big hit on that front left. That's going to be some good damage.
Yeah, and these drivers will be managing cold tyres. They only had half a formation lap to get themselves up to speed, so that's why we're seeing the struggles maybe from those further along the back on the get-go as Ollie Roskvist here then looking to try and get by Robert Carlson, but looking behind you've got Michael Pennings there, Pontus Nordgren, as well as Joachim Ulrichsen, who is there trying to get into play. Now it's Pennings' turn through the 200 right. It's going to put him on the wrong side of the road here for Spoon, and if he can hold the outside he'll be set nicely, but really struggling with that turn in there was Michael Pennings, just getting very slippery underfoot with the tyres and ultimately having to back well out of it. And the Feather Online gaming car of Pontus Nordgren, then that Ferrari under threat from a very, very slippery in a straight line Porsche.
Yeah, that was lovely, and definitely showing you that this is a great racetrack. It's pretty fast out there as well. Got to take a lot of risk, but you can find your way through in a few different places around this track. Of course, towards the end of the lap here, that's a good opportunity, what you've seen just up ahead as well, with a couple of side-by-side cars. I think that might have been Kinnell trying to make a move. Some wiggling on the straights as they try to hold on to their positions down in towards the first corner. As we come on towards 15 minutes to go, the laps will go fairly quickly in some ways around here because it's a long lap, and you don't get too many opportunities around here.
What a pass by Robert Karlsson. We just missed it going through turn 1, the first turn into the second curve, and ultimately Rosqvist waited through 1, absolutely chucked it down the inside of Robert Karlsson, and Karlsson will be blinking about in that McLaren going, where's my lunch money gone?
Let's see this, and this is not looking so much of a move into turn 1, but to turn 2, look at the dive. Coming off the apex to block past that one as well. That was aggressive and not something that you always see, but what a move there to make up that position. Just showing you how sort of switched on you have to be around this racetrack. And talking of switched on, the couple of Aston Martins here, they've not let Byfeld go. We're 3 laps into this, and he's only got half a second lead. Normally it's a good 2 or 3 seconds, but maybe Byfeld not having quite the same race speed as we saw in quali.
No, and we note that qualifying is only indicative of what the car can do when it's got no fuel in it and you're running at full bore pace, trying to get the best out of the car for that one moment. If you're thinking about long game here over the 20 minutes of this race, you're only looking at this going, well, I can manage expectation, and the slipstream is keeping Mikael Sundström into play. Adam Alterwill has been blinking about a lot, and another one there going through then the Astamo chicane and onto through the final curve, down the hill towards the first corner. And this is what you're starting to understand. These are going to be some tough battles. There's going to be a lot of trying to find that line, and Sundström having to play defensive, and again looks on a defensive line into turn 2, and will be worried about this now for the next points of attack, because that number 2 wants to be in P2 and is starting to show the signs of being impatient and wanting to go by and make some passes.
Yeah, the blinking's not going to be helping the rear view mirror of Sundström, but he's keeping up the pace despite taking some defensive lines, etc. He's keeping up the pace of Byfeld, or is this Byfeld actually just keeping his teammate within slipstream range to help hold on to that second place? If that's some teamwork going on, then that is really good, because we don't always see teamwork here, because normally Sundström is often in that top 5 area, but not always in this second place right next to his teammate where they can help each other. But this time he is. And maybe that is what's going on. But Alterwill, he's looked very fast this season. Hasn't always got the results he would have wanted, though, but he's often got the pace to be in the top 5 and holding on as it stands. And his teammate Dan Holmer is holding on firm in 4th place, just like his championship position.
Yep, so that is pretty much setting up for this to be a second half of the race. Can you make moves or can you not? And Sundström, who's been stuck at about half a second back, is going to need to find something a little different to move forward with. The one thing I know with the Aston Martins, as it's maybe one weakness, Cam, is the fact that they struggle about with first and second gears as they look to try and get the acceleration factor in. Oh, and Sundström catching himself on a tightrope as he walks on through the run through 130R and over to the Astamo chicane. Lucky boy, that could have gone any number of ways over the run, but it's a car that's very good in high-speed corners, which is why we see 2 up there at the moment, but something that doesn't work well at stop-start hairpins, so maybe the middle sector a little more troublesome.
And with that, I mean, it wasn't even a wiggle, was it? That was a half crash. They've now got over that half a second gap, and Byfeld is just slightly pulling away. But that just shows you how much Sundström is pushing. It's a difficult corner there at 130R. You come up to it top speed in these cars, and it's very difficult to judge, because you really want to take more speed always, but it's just a little bit tighter and a little bit more narrow, I guess you'd really say. There's not really much of a point to aim at. It's just that little bit of curb, and you do not want to go over it onto the Astro, as obviously the result is what you just saw happen on that previous lap. But he's kept in there through this first sector, and he's keeping strong up with Byfeld.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job of dragging that gap back to 0.4 of a second, so the McLaren had a chance to break away, and ultimately Mikael Sundström's had a really nice sector and it's pulled him back together. Dan Holmer's not a million miles off of this, but he's now 1.6 seconds adrift and starting to lose the draft, as then you've got that secondary group of Filipkowski, Forsberg, Christopher Geros is in there, and Andreas Bachmann. So they are starting to form their packs, and they will now know that at half race distance, you've set yourself nicely, you've got a race that's going to give you something to work with. Now you've got to try and fight it back very shallow entry in through there from Dante Forsberg, and that is allowing Filipkowski here the chance to say, look, I'm safe on the run to 130R now.
And that is always where you want to be, because the overtaking location isn't necessarily 130R, but how much you risk then opens up the door into the Astamo chicane. So if you have a little bit of a margin in behind, maybe don't take quite so much risk. Thomas Cannell hard over to the left, interestingly, to get the best run. Hagman takes sort of half a car inside him and just loses a tiny bit on the exit, therefore, as he's got Rosefish behind him. They got Cannell obviously just up ahead that he's trying to chase down, but that was a bit of a bad run. He was a little bit too aggressive almost in terms of his line when that was never going to be an overtaking opportunity, and that sort of held back for now. But they have a nice train of cars where they can work themselves forward if they're able to get that a little bit further forward. Of course, it's Gran and then Linus Brostrom up into 9th place. Up ahead then is a 3-second gap ahead of that.
Brostrom +1 for today. Nicholas Gran was the car that he went up, because Nicholas is -1 for the day out there. Rosqvist, one of your biggest movers, up 5. It's currently Joachim Ulrichsen who is the biggest mover at the moment. He's +6 for the day in 16th with 2 cars in front. Working through the Degners, that BMW at the moment in terms of the balance of performance has maybe been the most unloved car. It's nice to see Linus Brostrom out there getting good use out of it and up the hill over to the Nissan brake hairpin, leading this train at the moment, feeling a bit under the weather as well. So this will give a bit of confidence to the 71, knowing end of the season not feeling too great. Still going to be looking around to get a good result, taking that big arcing wide line for the path of least resistance towards Spoon.
And I know there's a few less cars tonight, but he still wouldn't always expect a top 10 in this road course series. He definitely struggles a bit more on the road compared to the oval and even sort of rallycross stuff that he's done. That's a bit more his bag, but he's had a solid season up there, 5th place in the championship, not where he would have expected, so he's doing well. He's already made a position, as you say, in this race and trying to hold on to that. The issue for him is that the cars up ahead are going away, so that forces you to look in the mirrors all the time, which generally slows you down a little bit and adds a little bit of tension into your driving. But he's got over half race distance and he's looking very good. So we're less than 8 minutes to go, so about 4 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, so they are very quickly running out of time, and that will tell, as here comes Ollie Rosqvist now, looking at Marcus Hagman for position, gets to the inside, there's contact, and off the road into the gravel. Hagman gets a jump over the gravel there and manages to save the MHE Racing Mustang. All that could have been a lot worse than it was. He's lucky to come out of it without really losing anything, but on the brakes, there was just a case of they're just trying to inch across, I think, from Oliver Rosqvist to take some space for the corner, and Hagman wasn't going to move.
Wow, yeah, that could have been an even bigger one. It was already a big crash, but he was fortunate to keep it out of the barrier there, and it looks like he has pulled off to the side, and he's gone and towed back to pit lane. So that is the end of his strong run there, which is a bit of a shame, because that was a lovely battle forming, and it was almost a bit of an exaggerated contact. Unfortunately, I think he's a bit unlucky with maybe some contact on the wheel there, because of course Rosqvist was coming back over to the left naturally, but definitely a bit unlucky with how bad it was. Hagman is now going to be starting from the back. Top 15 get reversed, so he would have been in a solid position for that. Here's Nicholas Gran trying to regain this position, moving left, moving right, trying to find a space down the inside of Spoon. That's not the location, but getting the run onto the back straight could be the one. However, Brostrom takes a wider line, should get the better run. Let's see what the top speed difference is.
Well, he tried there in the Feather Online Gaming Porsche to make 2 big moves heading towards Spoon to try and get in the mirrors of Linus Brostrom, and Linus isn't going to move like that and budge, so I think it would have been a better use of his time to only make the 1 move over, get in the mirrors, and then just hit your brake mark and get right close up to the bumper, because look at now what this gives Cam. This now allows this entire run along the straight to suddenly be gone away, and he's going to have to build up that time and that momentum again, and he basically wastes 2 very precious minutes this late on in the race. So I think this just has to be settled down a bit by Nicholas Gran, that when he sees the opportunity, he can't and ah about it. He's got to be decisive as a driver.
Certainly, hesitation always all in the background. Yes, Kinnell, that was slow off turn 2 as he lost the place. I think he has, yes, indeed, and that is a sort of a big mistake to make, because you know, they're fighting so hard to have these battles, you know, fairly for multiple laps. But then anyway, one little mistake just loses the rear end there. That's an interesting one. Carried it and kept it very well, but unfortunately lost so much momentum by turn 3. Rosefish had gone through. But yeah, you can fight for 5 laps for someone, but if you just make one small mistake, you're going backwards, and this could continue on actually. This is probably Gyros now, who's a backman, who are trying to get on the backside of him too.
Yeah, so this is what's going on still for 5th place, and more likely 6th and 7th at this point in time. But I would look around and say that was a very good catch that we saw there from Thomas Kinnell, who's immediately on the brake, which is why the speed scrubbed so aggressively out there. A lot of drivers aren't that quick to realise when the car's going to snap, as there was a wiggle from Christopher Geros there, just working through the first part of Spoon and needing to try and really pick up a good run off of the exit. But you don't often get to see drivers catch it that quickly and understand the car's going around that early. So very good job from Thomas Kinnell there to only drop the 1. But on the pace, I think we're seeing it's very tough to get the run necessary. The straights here, maybe you're just missing about 50 meters to get the clean, decisive pass you want.
Yes, that's true. There is a long track, but the straights aren't as long as some of these more modern ones. And here is Nicholas Gran. He's getting very close for a minute to Lise Brostrom, but not quite enough. This time as we're into 4 minutes to go. I do think we're going to sneak the extra lap, though, looking at where Marcus Byfeld was at the line. So it actually, instead of 2, I think we might just sneak a 3rd lap to another opportunity that would be for the drivers. All white. That is, as he caught it on the exit, it was definitely having a big wiggle on. I think he's okay. But the Porsches, there's Kinnell and now Grant struggling a bit already after a 20-minute race. That would be interesting when we get to the longer feature race.
Yeah, I think Christopher just overcooked it. He's missed a mark by about a couple meters, and that's why he's gone on. I don't think he's, quote, lost anything. I think he's just gone a bit deep, and as such, he now knows he's got to gather that time up. But with only a couple of laps to go, I note that Mikael Sundström now has a 1.2 second margin over Adam Altwell. So that is going to be huge, as there is safety in numbers out there. Dante Forsberg in the HeXagon Nation Black 357 is now starting to think less of defence right now, Cam, and more of attack. He's got a great line here on Filipkowski now to go and maybe have a chance. Not here at Spoon. I don't think he'll get the move done here. I think he's got to set this one up here over towards the Astamo chicane.
Oh, and he's forced his rival wide there. Filipkowski feeling the pressure. Has he got the run, though? He might have actually got the run, and the exit of Spoon on the entry wasn't looking so good, but Forsberg was not able to get through, of course, the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix, and Forsberg wants to be getting at least a top 5 finish. Let's say he's got a couple of laps left to do it. Can he find his way through? Not close enough on the straight this time around, but in towards the chicane. Are we going to see a big dive to the inside? We are. Can he get his nose up the inside? That's way too late to make it work, but he's trying to do something. Gyros is going to think that he has an opportunity down into turn 1, though.
Filipkowski gave him all the room in the world and then some. Really scrubbed the speed to avoid the contact. And critically, this has invited the chance now over to the first turn. Look how far over to the pit wall went along. Filipkowski just commands again, and Dante Forsberg once more is forced to wait out there. And I am going to note this here. I think we're going one more lap around. We're doing 1:59 lap times. They crossed the line out there with 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining on the clock, Cam.
Yeah, Byfeld just sneaking these guys an extra lap. And I think some people will actually maybe not be too happy about that with how close these battles are, but some will definitely take that opportunity. And as it stands, Forsberg is just losing time, and that is opening up the door for Gyros to have a go. The hairpin is the next opportunity if he can try and get the good run out of here, up the hill. A lot of gravel still out there on the track, not being swept up naturally by the cars, and Gyros no way too late this time around, but let's just close it back in once again, get the run to Spoon, and then try and find a way to get the run down in towards the chicane for one final time.
Well, he knows that he's setting this up. He knows he's understanding where he's got to try and find this move. And Christopher Geros here is really hoping that this pass is going to be sorted. He takes a lovely line, commits down into the second gear, looking to try and hit the power off the exit, up through. You've got to be careful about how you change the gear. It's easy for the car to snap around when you disengage and re-engage with the gearbox. But right now it's about Dante Forsberg, who doesn't really have anything to show here to Filipovski right now, who's just commanding the corners, and that is a damaged car, and that is Adam Alterwill out.
And he's actually out this time. He's been blinking around, going up and down the leaderboard, but this time that's a huge hit on the front, actually. Front right corner was gone. He must have hit the Astro on the outside of 130R, yes. For him to get, oh, he's all on his own. He's miles back from Sundström by this point, hits the grass, goes a bit wide. Oh, he's bang on the curb as well. Oh, huge hit into that right-hand side. That was almost worse. If he let go of the steering wheel and went a bit further wide and committed to that, he probably would have been okay, but he tried to keep it in. A lot of steering angle on while on the curb. Car bounces around all over the place as we go on to the final lap, and that is going to open up a podium place for Dan Homer. What a snap that is to the right-hand side.
Yeah, you can see the curb slightly raised as well as you go through 130R, so he gets up on the high side, and then by the time he falls off the cliff of the other end, the car's just going to try and snap with a massive influx of grip, and Adam Alterwill had no way of saving that after that point in time. Real shame he's lost the guaranteed podium. Daniel Holmer won't mind, though. He'll take that, which suddenly means that this scrap is now all for 4th place, and it's a very nice line at the Nissan brake hairpin from Lucas Filipovski, who will now keep that about 0.4 of a second margin that he holds now over towards Spoon. And so long as he hits his marks the way that he has done so diligently over the course of this race, he will be keeping that 4th place in the 2-1-2 Aston Martin.
Oh, as Giros goes a little bit wide, and just actually championship-wise, this is somewhat important, this overall battle, because Filipovski is 8 points behind Bachmann. Now, as it stands, he's got 2 cars in between him, so that's going to be some points gained already. But up to the front, your champion has done a masterclass of this opening race, and he'll be followed by Mikael Sundström as the 2 nearly on-pace drivers confirm their championship crown in the constructors' side of things as well. It's Marcus Byfeld who wins the sprint race here for the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix, with Mikael Sundström and Dan Holmer rounding out the podium. And for 4th position, it's just going to be Filipovski who holds on from Forsberg, Giros and Andras Bachmann.
Yeah, nothing silly about. That was a lot of curb there as that went through from Kenneth Tier. He's trying to get past Sebastian Ullmann there in the 720, but nothing silly out there from Byfeld and Sundström. They both knew what was on the line. They basically raced with everything they got and said, look, we're not going to go out there and risk it. We've got a clear 1-2. They held it. Great line on the defence then by Ullmann, who will be very happy that he's held on to that 17th place, exactly where he started. So he's just outside of the invert, but he's done a very good job to maintain position as he crosses the line.
Absolutely. That was actually a better race than I was expecting. It's a tough track around here, but we had some great battles. And in the end, we have Marcus Byfeld, Sundström, Holmer on your podium. Holmer, thanks to his teammate Alterwill, crashing with just a couple of laps to go. Filipovski and Forsberg inside the top 5 for Giros, Bachmann, Linus Broström holding on to P8 in the end, ahead of Nicholas Gran. And then Rosqvist just sneaks inside the top 10, about 20 seconds off the pace. And Sundström actually getting the fastest lap. How interesting. Knell will be in 11th place with Ulrichsen in 12th. Hockenschott, Carlson, and then Pennings will be your reverse grid pole. Nordgren, Ullmann, Tier, Magnussen, and Stiller the top 20 at the end, with Alterwill, Hagman, and Svensson your DNFs for today's race. But we still have another one coming your way. It's a 44-minute feature race with a pit stop. And of course, the reverse top 15. But we'll just give the drivers a little bit of a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. And welcome back to Suzuka, where we have the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series finale. Here it is the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix, and it's myself, Cam Roger, and Jake Sperry with Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, as we've just had Marcus Byfeld and his teammate Mikael Sundström wrap up the Constructors' Championship. So it's a drivers and constructors season for nearly on pace, with Byfeld winning the championship already at the previous round. But we now have a 44-minute feature race. We have half a fuel tank here in these cars, so we'll go about 30 minutes or so on fuel, and then we'll have about 14 minutes or so of a pit stop that they'll need to take, where it'll just be gas and go for these drivers to the end. And as ever, Jake, that pit stop can change things quite a bit, but as well, we have the top 15 being reversed.
Yeah, so what it means off the start is that you get slower drivers who are nearer the front, who then see the quicker drivers trying to work through. It adds jeopardy. It makes life a little bit tougher for the drivers out there to go and say, look, we can jump through. They'll also know they're on a 50% fuel tank limit, so it's not just the case that you can pit on lap one and then you can drive at the back and hope that everyone around you just can't find the same pace. You're probably looking at needing to reach about 14, 15 minutes in this race before you can make a stop. So you've got about a 17-minute window to go and make your pit stops in, and that's about 7 or 8 laps around this Suzuka circuit. So as far as I see it here, it's going to be a critical first 15 minutes, but it will depend on, firstly, how quickly do you get through, and secondly, around a circuit which at various places you're given the 50%, 40%, 30% chance to make the pass. How aggressive do you go in those first 15 minutes? I think that decides the race.
Absolutely, and those who want to go long as well, if they can save some fuel, they can try and shorten that pit stop at the end, but that is a little bit risky because maybe you have to be less aggressive in the train and then you lose some time. So it's always a ebb and flow, and you have to choose your situation wisely. I would say this track is a bit harder to overtake, but we've seen it before where the likes of Marcus Byfeld from P15 on the grid can get back to lead within 10 minutes or so, but I'm not so sure around here. We've seen some great battles, but it's not one where you can fly past, 5 drivers already on the first lap.
I don't think this is one where if you do make those passes that you turn around, you look behind and go, look, I'm unhappy with what I've done. This could be the sort of race where you find it, but those S's sections, you go through the S curve and then over the Gyaku bank, it's so easy to get into side-by-side contact. So I would just err on the side of caution as we're about to get ready over for this 44-minute race.
It was a nearly on pace front row at the previous race in the sprint, and then it was Sim Race Sweden on the second, but of course that gets reversed around and they've got quite a bit more to do when we get to this feature race. We'll line them up once again on the back stretch, and here is how we sit. Pennings gets the reverse grid pole with Coulson, Schott and Ulrich on the front couple of rows. There's going to be Thomas Cannell and Oliver Rosqvist on P number 6. There's going to be Nicholas Gran, Linus Broström, Andras Backman, Giros, Forsberg and Filikovsky. They were obviously in an immense battle. We flipped that around. Now let's see if they can pass each other this way. Holmer, Sundström and Byfeld do the final of the reverse drivers, with Norgren, Ullman and Kenneth Tier the top 18. Then it's going to be on the final few rows, Magnussen, Stiller, Altwil, Hagman and Joachim Svensson, who barely got his race started last time with a black flag before we really even got down to turn number 1. So we're at 11 a.m. this time around, so it's a bit earlier in the day than the 3 o'clock race last time. So I guess that means, Jake, is actually going to heat up a little bit more as the race goes on. So by the end of the race, it could be a little bit more slippery on those older tyres.
Yes, so 34 degrees out there, and actually a whipping wind that's coming from the southeast up. So it's creating a headwind along the main straights here for overtaking. So you don't want to be in front, because that punch through the air is going to be a lot more powerful than it was in race number 1. But I would look around and say, yeah, it is going to make life a bit slipperier. And, you're looking for something out there of a circuit in and around that 30 to 35 degree mark. So they're just in the ideal temperature out there, where it's not too, it's not too hot for a dog to walk, but then it's still too cold to fry an egg on the circuit. So you're looking around at it going, yeah, perfect conditions, let's go out there and race hard.
And that is what we love to see. And the good thing about these reverse grids as well is it gives the opportunity for some drivers who may not always be up to the front of the grid getting an opportunity. Pennings, for instance, at the front here, he's P41 in these standings and he's on the pole. That is why we love these reverse grids, and of course part of the HeXagon Nation Orange team, which is the sponsor of today's race. So big thanks to them and all the other sponsors who have named their races over the course of the season. I'm sure as we get into the next one later on this year, you get your opportunity there once again to name your own race. But it will be Pennings from the front row to have our final race of the season. It's the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix, and it's going to be one of their own to take us to the green flag for the final race of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series. And it's a bit of a messy start with 3-4 wide. This is a late run from Pennings, and are there going to be some penalties that come in from that, as we're already continuing to be 3 wide? Big moves to the inside from Canal. Oh, contact already. Pennings gets set into the wall, and there's going to be further drivers involved in that one. That's a terrible start.
It's a massive chain reaction. Robert Carlson ends up being basically a battering ram as they went on in. It was a case of car that now leads this field outright. Smiling Håkan Shirt misjudging the braking zone, but now Thomas Cannell up to the front because he found himself off with the hit that he had under braking, losing his front grille. So a lot of change at the start, and it threatened this race to be very difficult to deal with, and we've got it in its form. Thomas Cannell, your leader, and already Marcus Byfeld and Mikael Sundström 8th and 10th respectively, side by side into Degner around Filipkowski.
Wow, so that was Sundström getting past. Byfeld chose not to make that 3 cars into one. Oritzen leads, Cannell second place, Rosefist to the outside, trying to make that work. It's a very, very long way around there. It's quite a wide hairpin, not enough real space for him, but actually we're getting someone go slow there. I think it's Dante Forsberg who's going back and back. That is Cannell's teammate. That's an awkward start there, but we are seeing the Cannell now just about getting towards that second place. Rosefist gave it a good run, but not enough.
Oh, he gives him a little bit of a push then as he works through Spoon, and this might open the door actually for Andreas Bachmann then to get into play and say, look, I'm going to start jumping up. Dante had his issue by spinning up the tyres out of the Nissan brake hairpin. First time into 130R then in this 44-minute feature, and it's not going to be a case of quite close enough to see any big moves being done. Sundström was certainly thinking of a way to get by Dante Forsberg, but could only think of a way to get through and didn't actually manage it. But outside of what was a crazy start at the front of the field, they've settled themselves down and realised, right, we're in this one for the long haul.
Certainly are. That was way too much going on the first sector of the first lap, considering the length of the race is a little bit wide there from Ulrichsen, so half a look from Cannell, not enough to open up for a move. It is one long train. Byfeld's already up into P9 with Sundström ahead of him, as Byfeld was able to get past Filipkowski as well a bit later on in the lap. And that is certainly quite an important note, because there's already 6 cars gone. I said he couldn't do 5 in the lap. Well, he did 6.
Well, I turn around, I look at Adam Altawil, who did 10, and the check-up there was with the green flag. Somehow, nobody got a penalty on the jump start, but Håkan Shirt just slightly outbrakes himself to where Michael Pennings then was going to hit his mark. That sends him into their Carlson, and Håkan Shirt then desperately just trying to stay out of the way with the damage to the front. I think they're understanding very simply, that one's on me, as there goes Ollie Rosqvist straight down the inside of Thomas Cannell, who gets shufted out of the way, and Andreas Bachmann then trying to go a long way around 200 right, can't quite get there.
That was certainly, oh my word, that was a certainly aggressive move in towards the hairpin, and it's opened up a big gap of a second for Oritzen leading this race. Rosefist second, Cannell third, and now it's Bachmann, Broström, your top 5, trying to push their way through. as that battle at the back end of the top 10 has been reversed, and it continues on. As in the background, we're seeing Byfeld try to make some moves as well, but I think it might be a potentially losing place. Let's see what this is. No, it is actually Forsberg on his outside. Byfeld on the inside. That's brave up the inside of 130R. In the background, we've also seen Autowill. Oh, there must have been contact. What a huge hit for Filikovsky.
Well, it was Forsberg who's off, and so he's had no contact, just a hard hit as he got caught in the air there, but was left by Byfeld, and basically catching the tank slapper and realising, oh wait, there's barriers here, a hefty hit. You take a look from Dante Forsberg, so he's out on the grass as well, loses the grip, tries to save it, and then bang! I don't think that camera view does it justice, just how much energy is dispersed in that instant.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be probably about 230 Ks or something into the barrier. That is brave. And, oh, wow. Basically dead straight into there. And that is exactly what I was expecting to happen. Side-by-side into 130R is certainly one of the most difficult overtaking opportunities in the whole world. He's trying to be nice and let through Byfeld, and that's a big hit. And that's why I thought it was a risk for Byfeld, because there could have been contact that swiped him out as well. We rejoin the battle. It's ended up with Sundström in 6th, Byfeld in 7th, and Autowill following through.
Well, what a run by Adam Autowill here, who was down in 21st position, all to do today, and he's on the back of the drivers he was with in race 1 before his incident. So he's having a very good run in this, and I think he's still on for podium honours if everything works as intended. It's not been quick progress through this field. We note that the gap between 1st and 15th in race 1 was just over basically half a minute. So you turn around and you look at it here, Cam, I wouldn't be shocked to see that this is going to take the pit stops and the first early pit stops to really change it. I reckon it's going to take a full 15 minutes to see those drivers right now in 6th, 7th and 8th fighting for the lead.
Yeah, this is not going anywhere anytime soon, and it's going to be an aggressive push from behind. We're already seeing Sundström, big send down the inside. That's almost a 3-wide situation, as Gyros had to think about Broström up ahead of him, but not enough actually to make the move, but enough to get Gyros offline, and he's got his teammate to push him down this front stretch. At what point do they swap around? But I guess they don't really care. They've already won the championship. They just need to get the best result they can, and Byfeld seems to be in team playing mode here tonight, but not enough in towards turn 1. A bit of a think into turn 2, though. We're seeing a few people sort of work out that this is the best overtaking opportunity, potentially. The outside of turn 3, though, that's not the place, but it is for a brave man of Sundström's quality, as Byfeld is going to try and slide through.
Oh, not only that, here comes Autowill too. Make that 3 in 2 corners. What a moment. Welcome to the freight train there for Christopher Geros, who had nothing for the battle there that went through. That was pure commitment from Mikael Sundström to go around the outside of turn 3 through the Assura S. It was then pure opportunisticness from Marcus Byfeld to dive down the inside. And Autowill, well, 3's normally a crowd, but I'm still going to go for it as he pushes wide over the AstroTurf there, out of Degner 2.
What racing at Suzuka, and that's why everyone loves coming to this circuit. It's tough, it's old school, it's narrow, but look at the battles you can have out there. And we are seeing a whole train of cars going up and down, left and right, battling in this final race of the season, and they are fighting so hard for it. It's less than half a second even for the race lead as it stands. Ulrichsen has been caught down by Rosqvist, who's looking very fast, very aggressive today, and is trying to get his first race win of the season.
Yeah, he's trying to get everything he can. Dan Holmer's going to get a move here on as he looks to try and get by Andreas Bachmann for place, and he's going to manage it heading towards 130R. So a nice move then has been constructed, and now Mikael Sundström is lining up the next pass with Byfeld there just behind. Autowill, Geros, then you've got Filikovsky, Holmer, Bachmann, Svensson also trying to move through, but they're all stuck behind again. Linus Broström, who's proven today that BMW has been a nightmare to try and get by. It's very tough to see it as the move for the lead now starts to be thought about too. So Oliver Rosqvist is giving Joachim Ulrichsen at the moment kittens to think about in that Porsche. He is being lunged at every opportunity by the looks of things.
Ulrichsen P35 in the standings, Rosqvist P9 before we headed into this evening's racing. So that just shows you the scale that this reverse grid can do. It's, oh my word, Sundström up the inside. That is not what you often see. Broström is going to lose 2 places here shortly, and maybe Altwell is trying to do 3 and 1 like we saw a couple of laps ago. Broström holds it strong on the inside of Degner 1, breaks late. Byford on the outside. That is dangerous for the pair of them. Sundström is going off in the distance all by this point, and Byford around the outside of Degner 2. That is a hard move, and he should have that as it's the inside line into the hairpin. Altwell is going to slide through as well. Nothing Broström can really do at this point. He's lost the track position. He's on the high line, and I think the Aston Martin should hold on.
Big issue for Christopher Geros. He's turned back there, and he was helped by Filip Kovski, who now has his mirrors full of the likes then of those trying to get through. Andreas Bachmann and co, but for the lead, there's the pass getting a bit into the door now. Is Rosqvist then and Ulrichsen. So Rosqvist now goes to the race lead, but it's showing here drivers are getting bottled up right now, and they don't want to wait. They want to make moves, and now they're not afraid of a little bit of contact, and that's what they've got to be a bit more careful of.
This is reverse grid racing, and that is what we love. And in a couple laps, the fuel window will technically open as well for those who want to go early. We'll see how many fall for that this time around. Basically, just because it's such a mess out there, maybe you want some clear track at the back of this one. Rosqvist leads them as we come under 34 minutes remaining of the season, so 10 minutes gone in this race. Ulrichsen down to second, Kinnell holding on to third, but he's got Sundström and Byfeld, P1 and 2 in the championship at the end of tonight, trying to get him in towards turn 1. Not enough, as the top 2 have a little bit of a gap.
And the way that it's going right now for the likes of Sundström and Byfeld, as now Kinnell just runs a little wide there through turn 2, I would probably be looking, if I'm Marcus Byfeld, the way I'm going to get by Mikael Sundström here, earliest availability, I pit. It forces Mikael Sundström to have at least 1 lap fighting with cars, as Christopher Geros is down in the pits, as well as Dante Forsberg, who we saw with the massive incident. Wide goes then Sundström, and that brings Byfeld closer. I would actually pit if I'm Byfeld, leave Sundström out there to fight a little bit longer, and then if Sundström decides that he wants in, and he does, and he's going to get right in the side there of Kinnell, that is a very forceful, if not slightly touring car-esque pass, rather than what we see from GT3 spec.
Oh, there's Byford on the outside and Holmer Wade on the outside as well. They're trying to find a location on the track for their cars, and somehow Byford gets through as well. Kinnell, a little bit unlucky. This was a lap or 2 ago where Gyros got tagged around there. That's not ideal. I think it was Filipovsky giving in the push that time. Up towards Spoon Corner we see. So Sundström in 3rd, Byfeld is in 4th place, Kinnell now in 6th. And there's Altwell trying to push him through with Linus Broström still there. And Dan Holmer. This changes every single lap. And look at Kinnell looking in his mirrors as Altwell chases him down.
Altwell needs this move and needs it quickly. He can't afford to give any form of gap to Sundström and Byfeld, otherwise they're going to be G-O-N-E gone out there in a race like this one. Bang! There is Kinnell into the wall and trying to save it out there, and somehow keeps it pointing in the right direction. I don't know how he's going to cross the circuit to get into pits if he's got damage, and he's going to have to go around for another lap. That is one way to see a unicorn lose its horn and turn back into a horse.
You are joking that he didn't get down pit lane, surely? That was, look, he's crabbing down the straight. Why would you not at least attempt to get in the pit lane? Because if he stops at halfway around the lap, the tow time's going to be so much. What a save. Big hit, though. And that
doesn't have mechanical black flag damage. That's why he'll stay out.
That is mental, because big hit is going to be, look at the swapper on. Then obviously couldn't catch it. Has 2 or 3 big hits on the wall. And I'm surprised that he's still going.
Well, in a sense, he is going. He's limping around right now with the damage that he's got. But he's still going, but he's still going to continue on here around Dan Holmer here. Broström is the cork in the bottle right now, making Jarno truly proud. But that's a little bit deep, and suddenly Holmer's going to get a big runner here. It's going to have to go the long way around the Nissan brake hairpin. Commands the inside, now needs to be braver on the brakes, and is so. Broström just commands the middle. Little tag from behind from Filipovsky. He's driven through one car today. I don't want to see him drive through another at this hairpin. He's got to be very switched onto it. Holmer, nice pass there. That's just an astute run using the drive off the exit off the banked Nissan brake hairpin.
And they are fighting for position in the championship as well. They're next to each other coming into tonight's 4th and 5th place, but Homer will be securing that 4th position. And let's see if Broström is now going to be sort of having a bit of a floodgates moment, because you've got a couple of guys behind him. We've seen this before, but no, Filipovsky isn't going to be making the move just yet, it looks like, as we get to 30 minutes remaining of the season. We're a third of the way into this race, and you'll be able to get to the end of the race on fuel now, but I'm sure the drivers will try and go a little bit longer to try and shorten that pit stop. But it's so messy out there, maybe someone will think about it. We haven't seen it too many times this season though.
Mistake from Sundström going through the Astamo chicane, and that has opened up for then the likes of Marcus Byfeld, who just eases to the inside. He's been waiting 15 minutes for the moment where there's a chink in that Sundström armour. He's got it, and now he can be the one who tries to push. Cannell has found his way to pit lane, so he will get his service out there, but critically in terms of how he services this, there are no fast repairs available. If you break it, you've bought it, so any damage he's got with the crabbing, he's going to have to wait for optional repairs to fix the suspension.
Yes, that is going to be a bit of a long one down pit lane, and basically ends any hope of getting some decent points, although doing a slow lap around lost him enough time as it stands. And this is turning out to be a very raceable track here tonight. We have seen that reverse grid do the bottleneck that we were expecting, and have a bit intense racing in those opening 5 to 10 laps it will be by the time we get there. As Byford already into 2nd place, Ulrichsen down to 3rd. It's the outside, so it must have been the inside there of the hairpin. The outside now as we work our way up towards Spoon. Surely he's not going to back out this one. He'll have the inside line, and Sundström follows him through. He almost rear-ends his teammate. A flash of the headlights from Ulrichsen as Autowheel comes through, and this might lose Sundström a place, and Sundström actually slows down to give Ulrichsen the position, but that doesn't account for the other two.
No, it's a redress of sorts there from Mikael Sundström, and he'll try and do that to avoid the penalty point there. But Joachim Ulrichsen there was fighting really hard with Byfeld, and Sundström just missed his braking mark and was lucky he didn't take everybody bowling out there at that point in time. So Byfeld to 2nd, Autowheel now up into 3rd, and critically now, Joachim Ulrichsen now is going to have to find another way to defend against Mikael Sundström down towards the 1st and 2nd curves on circuit. That would have been a big spike in the heart rate meter there, but here comes Sundström, and it is covered off at the 11th hour. Is it still covered? Yes, and this is going to cost Sundström probably his race.
And fair play to Ulrichsen there as well, defending that one in T1 and T2. He cut him off in turn 2. I love that. So he defended to the inside of T1, but then he kept it tight. He's probably seen Sundström's moves there, diving it down the inside of T2, and he, at this point, Ulrichsen knows he's slower. He knows Sundström's probably going to get through at some point, but he just wants to lose in some time after that overly aggressive move that basically sealed his loss of position to Byfeld, and then added the other loss of Autowheel half a lap ago.
Yeah, you hit me, so now I'm just going to plant my car in the middle of the road, and you're not going to have an easy time of getting by. It's cost him half a lap already, up to the Nissan brake hairpin. I'm not sure if he's going to cover it. He covers the line on the inside, says long way it's going to have to be. And this is what happens. You find a style of driver that you don't often get with, and that's a case really from Joachim Ulrichsen of, you know, you're going to risk my race. I'm going to make this as difficult as possible. It's like Mikael Sundström has got himself caught in a rose bush, and again, he gets so close, almost pushes his way through, finally gets to prise the door open to say that I'm through, nearly on pace. Well, you can argue he's been nearly online the entire way. And look at Ulrichsen. He can use the pace of the Porsche and the side draft there to keep himself into play. The oval experience comes in. Now he'll try and fight on the outside of 130R, but Sundström commands it.
That was an awesome lap there of racing. Just showing you, Ulrichsen did the perfect thing there. He, as I say, knew he was going to get past eventually. He just made his life difficult to say, look, that was naughty, and I don't accept that. So he's lost him almost 2 seconds to the back of Autowheel. That is, that's great. It's all talking of the lead. Byfeld to the outside into turn 1. That's where Sundström would have wanted to be, but instead he's 4 seconds off. And now Byfeld is going to be attacking for this. He's going to be spending, by the time he gets there, about 20 minutes to get to this stage. So certainly a bit longer than we've seen at some other tracks. But he knows he now has the opportunity to get back into the race lead.
But the issue here, Marcus Byfeld is the quickest driver out there all day. I think we both agree on that. Oliver Rosqvist has been the best battler all day. This is not going to be easy, as that's understeer going through the Nippo corner. That forces side-by-side for the Degners. Rosqvist here is going to have to be very alert to the inside. He's covered it off well. And I wonder whether Rosqvist is looking at this going, well, you've got Adam Alterwill there, and if Alterwill's going to start fighting with you, maybe I can have you two fight amongst each other and I scarper off.
Oh, and in the background, Ulrichsen has lost another place to Holmer, so he's now down to 6th. Holmer up into 5th place. But yes, Rosqvist has been doing such a good job, and he's not going to allow this one easily, that is for sure. The 2:11 machine, he's not done all the races he would have wanted this season, but he is looking in P9 of the championship so far. He's got 2 top 5s to his name. Let's see if we can make it another one, but this is going to be a good run from Byfeld. He's already been up the inside of someone in towards 130R, but this time it's going to have to be to the outside that he's forced. What this is going to do is slow down Rosqvist on the exits as well, but no, on the outside he's going to hold it side by side through the apex. I thought one of them would back out. They both do not. Byfeld will have the inside line and gets the race lead just about, but can he hold it? No, Rosqvist to the outside. He wants to hold on to this one as long as he can to slow Byfeld down, but Byfeld makes it on the power down the front stretch.
Oh, they were fighting on a tightrope, and Alterwill didn't know which way to go, and now he's going to pick up a run, and he's got to block here. Byfeld's just done enough to block the run of Alterwill, who's trying to get on that inside line, but don't count Ollie Rosqvist out around the outside, chucks it back. But can he get the grip? No, he's going to lose out a wiggle. Puts him side by side again with Alterwill, who sweeps around the outside of 3, gets the inside at 4. Alterwill's still trying to throw it back. Those 2 seconds are gone. Mikael Sundström's back.
Certainly is up in that 4th position. Those 2 seconds have gone. That shows you how much time you lose when fighting, but what a fight it was. Alterwill has been the driver of this race so far, and now he's battling for 2nd position. We saw his speed in that opening race before the crash, and from the back, basically, he's now up into 2nd position, chasing down Byfeld, but Byfeld, there's no one in front of him anymore, and he has no teammate directly behind him to help, so let's see if he goes off into the distance. What an aggressive driver Rosqvist is, though. I absolutely love that. It's a shame he got the little bit of a wiggle on the exit T2, because I think he would have had enough to at least battle into the S's section, but not quite enough this time around. In the background, Brostrom's got through Ulrichsen as well.
Yep, so that's another car that has jumped off the train, and I do note that Daniel Holmer got a long way from those drivers, as Sundström now trying to eye up Oliver Rosqvist. And I would take one look at what Oliver Rosqvist is doing right now, the way he's fighting. That is a driver that is a dedicated racer out there. He's got really good racecraft. He's not afraid to chuck it in the corners. That is exactly the type of driver I would want, Cam, on my race team.
Absolutely. You got to have a driver who takes some risks and puts some effort in, because some drivers are just a bit naturally conservative, and fair enough, maybe you get a bit more consistent finish, but if you want those big standout performances against the big dogs in this championship, you have to have a driver who's going to fight them, and he certainly is. We're less than half, or I should say more than halfway into this race now. Final race of the season. We're looking a little bit further back. This is Andreas Bachmann in the number 9 position as it stands. Svensson a little bit off the back of him, and then we have a big gap to the second half of the field moving out, but we have less than 10 seconds for the top 10 drivers halfway in this race. That is what we want to see, Jake.
Yes, and it's been really close. It's been really good to see out there. We also note that there are drivers time and again who will be looking at their pit stop window and what's the right time for them, what's the right decision. We've had drivers like Marcus Hagman, for example, come in and take his pit stop in the race. So there are drivers thinking about it at the moment, because it has just extended out a bit. That's going to be very interesting to note, as Byfeld has trouble with a bit of lap traffic actually, and Thomas Cannell, who's got back out there 3 laps down. and this is going to be a case of everybody tries to get through. I mean, look at it here. Try and pick your way through that. Mikael Sundström just doesn't get the right line at the Nissan brake hairpin and suddenly finds out that Oliver Rosqvist here is going to be very, very tough to get through. I think Sundström's got to be the first to pit of this group.
We're getting close, aren't we? Because realistically, they're only going to go about another 2 laps on fuel, maybe squeeze a third if your name is Marcus Beifel. So it's getting to that point where they're all going to pit fairly soon, and that 1 lap here or there might make a big difference when we're literally talking about a couple of seconds covering the top 5 cars, and also less than top 10 in less than 10 seconds. So this is going to be an opportunity for someone to make some moves. Inside 20 minutes to go now. Who is going to be the first one through? I just have a feeling they're going to wait another lap or so, and they're going to push it as long as they can. But is anyone going to dive in? Yes, they are already. Filikovski, he will be the first one of these top drivers.
He will, and there was a mistake through the final corner here for Oliver Rosqvist. So Mikael Sundström will have, as easy as Rosqvist could ever make it, pass down into turn 1. He tried holding on the outside, but he can't put the power down as quick. And Filipovski, who has been a little bit in the wars, now gets himself in. And also noting here, over 5 minutes of a stop for Nicholas Grahn there. So he's found himself in troubles out there a couple laps down, and he's trying to get himself prepared to go out. There's a lot of damage on the front of his Porsche.
Wow, this has been an amazing end to this season. It's been, in terms of the results, it's been a bit more of a static one, but in terms of the racing on the track, it has been rather remarkable. What have you seen?
Well, I saw Nicholas Grahn's incident. He did 2 things. One, he lost it at 130R, chucked it in the wall. Secondly, Austin Powers it on pit entry.
Okay, let's have a look at this one. Big slide, goes full left lock to try and keep it, ends up in the barrier anyway, and scrapes his way down, almost rejoins in front of another car. Does a 180, bases the wrong way. Don't get any combo bonuses for this in this style of racing, but I want to see what you're talking about by the time we get to the pit entry with a rather smashed front end.
Well, you're going to see here, looking to try and get himself down into the pits. It's downhill and turning all the way, so he catches the grass, spins around, but here's the issue. Look, he rolls it back and realises, oh wait, I'm in pits. How am I going to get myself out of this one? He decides, look, I've got to turn it around the right way, and then elects to Austin Power.
He's so lucky no one else was coming in pit lane at this point, because this is quite terrible. Oh, he loses the rear wing as well. So, just press escape. Just press escape. This is difficult. This is tough viewing right now, but eventually gets it put around. And we have Autowill coming in the pit lane in live pictures. Your first of the top guys there, and he's going to try and go for an undercut. Let's see how long the other drivers go, because it's surely only going to be a lap or 2. Beifel now leads by almost 3 seconds.
Yeah, so he knows this is going to be aggressive if you're going to try and find this, and he will come out then noting that the likes of Nicholas Grahn has just got out and away in front, but this is Oliver Rosqvist now up into 3rd. He's fighting hard with Daniel Holmer here, who's hunting down in that Mercedes. Very good through the gears is the Mercedes, so keep an eye out on that on the changes. When it gets to 4th, 5th, 6th gear, it gets there quicker than anything else, but no looks into Degner, and out of Degner, these 2 jutting rights after the smooth opening sector. You've got this big braking zone, turn and brake just as you want to hit your marks. 4th gear, 3rd, 2nd, tipping into the corner, getting right up underneath, but not finding anything, and Filipovski in trouble now with damage and out.
Yeah, one of the first driver, or the first driver to pit, but it hasn't worked as he's come out of pit lane, and he's going to have to go straight back to there. Holmer looks to the inside of Rosqvist, in towards into a spoon curve, I should say. Filipovski, this is the XLT2, isn't it? Oh, a dead stop on the edge of that wall, and that's going to be a big hit, and no wonder he's gone back to pit lane.
God, the way that jumped back there, that's going to hurt. That is a really tough incident. You always say you've got to make the contact side on, as Holmer can't get the look on the outside of 130R. You always want side on contact to get yourself through. The one thing you can't account for is if you catch the edge of the boundary there at the barriers. That was really tough, and Rosqvist, who's been fighting hard and burning the fuel, taking the outside lines, he's now got to come in.
Certainly does. So the two teammates there, him and Vilikovsky, pitting a bit earlier than some other people. Oricsson comes in, Svensson as well. So definitely the two teammates going to see each other, but for varying reasons. The nearly on pace cars are still out at the front. Byfeld leads by 3 seconds. Dan Holmer a further 3 and a bit seconds in behind, and then Linus Broström as well. So I don't think it's necessarily a car thing, because the Aston Martin of Sundström is still out there on the track. But 15 minutes remain, the final third of this race and the final 15 minutes of the season.
Altwell has comfortably dispatched then of Oliver Rosqvist then on the pit stop, so he hasn't been able to hold himself to the same account. Marcus Byfeld's McLaren has been lightning fast, and I tell you what, he is a really, really talented sim racer. He's 18, 19 years of age. He's out there. He's got the world at his feet in this championship, but he's someone who is thinking about getting through his studies first before he commits out there to a sim racing, time out there. And I'm sure that if he wanted to get a couple thousand iRating, he could do so in a heartbeat. He's only a 4.8k iRating driver who's driving like an 8k iRating driver out there. And if Marcus Byfeld wanted to, he could be one of the top 1% sim racers in the world that we talk about every single special event.
Certainly, and maybe as the years progress, he will do that. He's still quite young in the grand scheme of things, and maybe his focus will change at some point. But you do have to put in so much time and effort if you want to be at the top. But in this level of racing, he is just so fast. As we are seeing a battle here of Norgren and Stiller. They are P6 and 7. Stiller from the back gets the run up the inside. Norgren not having the run he would have wanted. As at the front, Byfeldt, Sundström, they come in. And I wouldn't be surprised if a load of other drivers follow them in the background. Holmer follows suit, and Broström as well.
Andreas Bachmann's going to make the stop. We note as well how critical this is going to be, where Adam Alterwill is by comparison. So Byfeldt currently over 7 seconds in the box. Alterwill making his way out through. Byfeld's got his stop sorted, and he might have a massive jump compared to what Adam Alterwill is going to get. Pontus Norgren was really fighting with Marcus Stiller down onto the lane, so that's one clear. Daniel Holmer now getting himself on the power, and he is going to come out behind Adam Alterwill and Mikael Sundström, so that's going to really sting. The podium's just there. You can taste it, Daniel, but you can't sit at the table and dine. You're still waiting for table scraps.
So we're going to have 7 laps remaining in this race. Byfeldt leads by 3 seconds. That's remained the same. Alterwill is now 5 seconds off the lead. He's got Dan Holmer about a second back. Can Dan do anything to catch down his teammates? It's so funny. After we have the sprint race, and we have the the reverse grid. We have all that's happening, and we're back to the same top 4 that we saw earlier on in the race as well, in race number 1. So they always cream rises back to the top, and that's what you want to see. But is Holmer going to be able to join that party on the podium? He's already lost a couple of tenths, but this is him just on pit exit. Alterwill's already been there for a lap.
Yeah, so when you stopped, you're also looking at, well, what's it going to take to get my tyres back up to temperature? That's going to be their biggest concern, and Adam Alterwill here will be the driver with the tyres pretty much at their nicest then as they go. Pontus Norgren, by the way, back out and going again, 12th place for him, and eyeing up Sebastian Magnusson here, who pitted a lot earlier by comparison, and now it's a game of Ferrari playing Porsche at this moment. That 992 GTR that is there up against the 296, and Pontus Norgren here just has to settle himself down. Know that Ferrari's going to be better in the first sector than anywhere else.
Certainly, we'll in towards Spoon Corner. That's not the best run there from the Porsche, but we'll go back a little bit. Kenneth Tier up the inside of Marcus Stiller through 200 up and then in towards Spoon. That is a nice, easy move, but I say that is broken a bit late. He's kept it just about on the track. That was very close to making a mistake, and Stiller, I mean, he's miles off, isn't he? He must have had a mistake or something through the hairpin, not really up to speed.
Either that or just struggling a little bit with understeer here, and this is what happens when the track gets hotter and hotter. You get a car that doesn't really want to play. You could see they're weaving the tyres on the back stretch, just not getting the grip to set up, and again runs wide there through 130R. So I think Marcus Stiller is understanding here with Robert Carlson directly behind. I've got to get these tyres working underneath me. They're not at the moment, and there's a car off, and it's again Nicholas Grahn, this time at turn 2.
This is going to be an interesting final 10 minutes. 6 laps remaining as we'll go just over that into one more. There'll be 6 laps remaining in this race. Some positions are closing up. Andres Bachmann is getting close to Linus Broström. Linus, he's in P6. He's been struggling today a little bit, to be honest, but he's getting some decent results. Looks like another top 10 finish. Just how high can it be? I guess Rotofist has gone up ahead, so he really wants to hold on to this MHE Racing Mustang behind, who's chasing him down, the 119 Andres Bachmann. Broström is looking good for a top 5 finish in the championship as well, so he doesn't want to lose too many points, as once again this race he's going to lose points to Dan Holmer, just a couple of positions further ahead.
Now the interesting thing about Andreas Bachmann is Håkan Schurk comes in for a stop. He's +2 spots in this race, but I can't seem to remember him making a pass all night.
That's true. I guess there was a couple of incidents in turn 1.
And so you see that from sometimes certain drivers who will pick up places and have the knack for it. Maybe when they're not having their best races and they're having to go to the B game, the C game, when it's not quite clicking on all cylinders, that they don't have to make the passes because the passes will come to them. And that sometimes is motor racing and sim racing in a nutshell. You don't have to make the passes all the time, although I'd really like to get by Linus Broström if at all possible. Sometimes drivers will just make mistakes and you pick up freebies as you go around.
Although that reminds me, in the reverse position, sometimes, this is a race I did back in 2019 at this track. I did the best race that I think I could do, but I was racing in a category a bit too high for my skill level. I started last, I finished last, I did the best race I could do, but I was just following everyone around the whole race. I couldn't go forward because it was so fast, and I guess that happens, but no one crashed around me, so I didn't gain any positions. But for Bachmann or anyone else, that can be the case. Some days you just can't work your way forward on speed, but if you sort of make up for other people's misfortunes and mistakes, that still means you're doing a good race. If you can get to the end consistently without mistakes, you will always, or almost always, be in a better position, because consistency is key in any form of racing, and especially a race like this is 45 minutes long.
Yeah, to finish first, unfortunately, you've got to be of a different Scandinavian region first and foremost. But at least for Andreas Bachmann, he knows that to finish out there in this race, he has absolutely got to see the checkered flag first and foremost. Position otherwise is what gets you the points. And in the championship, you know, a driver like Marcus Byfeld is Marcus Byfeld, but if you want key consistent points and a high finish in the championship, first thing you got to do is make sure that you finish every race of the season, because if you don't do that, you're leaving lots of points on the table, and that's been the Andreas Bachmann way. Just get good drive, find a way to get the result, and ultimately it doesn't matter if the result is, you know, 7th or 15th. It's a case of, I'm going to be able to get some points and something to work on heading to the next round, or here at the championship finale. I've constructed a very nice season.
And that is true, because for some people, the title is kind of out of shot. We saw that in the first couple of rounds already. It was going to be between Byfeld and Lindhoff. We saw that already from the first qualifying session even. So some people, they just need to find their position, whether that's going to be P5, P10, P15, wherever it is. And that's the sort of the target that you need to set throughout the season, and that is how you have your fun as such. You need to find the certain drivers that are at your level and then try and beat them. And for Bachmann, this is looking a lot better today. 6.5 minutes remain of the season, and he has the opportunity to get a P6 finish. He's getting close. He's faster than Broström. Broström has a terrible run there as we work our way up the hill through Nippo, but not enough to make the move.
Yeah, it wasn't quite close enough, and ultimately Linus Broström is still struggling a little bit with feeling under the weather, and that's what happens when you drive so close behind. Broström just carried too much speed, had to lift off of it for fear of running through the grass, but he's recovered it well, and he's not under as much pressure. But speaking of which, just behind, you see there, I quite like this as a battle right now behind Cam, because it's got a battle of who is the best Joachim.
Yeah. There's a few Joachims out there in this series, and two of them have found themselves next to each other. You're right. So Ulrichsen and Svensson, P8, P9. Oh, Svensson there going way too wide in towards the entry of Spoon. That might actually give him a bit of a better run as we work our way down this back stretch. But Ulrichsen, who had that amazing battle inside the top 5, even leading up towards the front earlier on. But now Svensson from the back of the field, one's gone up, one's got down, and they've met in the middle.
Yeah, so you look around, Joachim Svensson started dead last, 23rd position on the grid for this race. He's up to 9th. Wide goes Joachim Ulrichsen, who now forces that run to the outside, has to leave the room on the exit of the Astermo chicane. Ulrichsen started 4th on the grid out there, so they've had two very contrasting races to the 8th and 9th, and now the toe is going to be critical here for Joachim Svensson. He pulls out to the right, has a little think about, can I get it done in the Mustang, but ultimately he's not close enough at the moment, and he's got about 3 laps available to him to find that pass, and those are going to be 3 very critical laps, because it's how you set it up, especially through here, through the S-curve, over towards the reverse banked corner of the Gyaku Bank. This sets up your entire first sector, this corner here.
Oh, and it's slower from Ulrichsen. He didn't get the momentum working his way up the hill. And unfortunately, Svensson actually got caught up a little bit there and was not able to really capitalize from that momentum that he had, but he will certainly get another opportunity within, as you say, these final 3 laps or 2.5 laps right now. Ulrichsen, we already saw with Sundström how good he was and how he was able to hold him up for that time. And this is another opportunity. Svensson, the teammate there of Sundström, oh, he leaves the door open up the inside, but he still gets a decent run on the exit.
Yeah, because that was slightly pinched down there, it was opportunistic from Joachim Svensson to look down the inside. He had to jam on the brake a bit more than he wanted to, turn it on a scent, basically, and say, look, this is going to be troublesome. And again, he has the same issue going through Spoon. He overcommits, gets a little bit of a wiggle on as he goes through the middle of the corner, and then he has to gather it back up off of the exit. Now, he can't afford to do that too often because they've only got 20 instant points to play with before they start talking about penalties. So I wouldn't want to be running too wide too often, and Joachim Svensson, I think, might be just slightly overdriving his Ford Mustang and pushing it against Ulrichsen. If he takes a little bit more of a laid-back approach with it, I think he could get the move done a lot quicker.
Yeah, I do agree on that one, because another lap's gone and he's in the same position, and he certainly had the opportunities. Up ahead, that was Bachmann getting closer to Broström as well. With a couple of laps remaining in this race, Byfeld leads by over 4.5 seconds now. Autowill is in third, back 7.7. Then Holmer, Rosquist is your top 5. Then we have a couple of big battles of Broström, Bachmann, and then send up the inside from Svensson. Not what you always see. In towards turn 3 and 4. He's going to make it work. Ulrichsen leaves him the space, and that isn't where I thought he was going to create the move, but he's done it. And as we come up the hill, he's finally made his way into P8.
Well, it's not where you traditionally go and make a pass, but the key was that Joachim Svensson had understeer through turn 2. He wasn't off the line, but it was just hooked up so well by Joachim Svensson. He took a big wide line into the corner of turn 2 that he was able to get the drive while the understeer kicked, and suddenly he's through. He's up into 8th place. He's best Joachim, and he knows it, but Andreas Bachmann continuing to hound and harass the back of the 71 of Linus Broström, and I just think that Broström is driving the way that he's always done. Very clean, very much in the lines, doesn't make mistakes. He understands it from a commentator's point of view. He's done a lot of races with us back in the day on RaceSpotTV, including the likes of Monday Night Skippies, was pretty much where he used to frequent with us on commentary. So he knows what it takes to see great racing. He applies that very well. You can really tell that Linus Broström, the way he drives, Cam, is a student of the game.
Yeah, he's very experienced, and he's gone all sides, as you say. He's done. He's one of the main admins here as well. We're coming on to start the final lap. Let's see. Yes, is that going to be an opportunity coming onto it? Looks like it's all okay for now, but actually, Anders Bachmann, he's getting close. Broström is having to defend. He's going to the right as they come across the stripe for the final time of asking in towards turn number 1. Not enough, but Broström will be offline, but gets it back on for T2. And is there opportunities up ahead if Rosqvist slows down some more?
Well, Rosqvist, I think, got away with it. He didn't go off the circuit. He dipped 2 tyres off at the Astmo chicane, but it was very deep into the corner, so he got away with it. He can't afford anything more than that, but look at the way that Andreas Bachmann just pins it to the curb through the Gyaku bank, up through Nippo corner. He takes a later entry to get more drive off the exit. Kenneth Tier hits the instant point limit on the final lap. It's not going to be a move into Degner. It's like 2 right hooks from Mike Tyson, if you're not careful, through this section. Drive off the exit. Broström, a tiny bit of wheel spin, but enough that it covers the overtaking attempt into the Nissan brake hairpin. I think it's just Astmo chicane or Spoon. It's one or the other. Set it up. Take your pick.
Oh, what? Not the best run. What is he going to do? Is he up to come up towards Spoon? Is he going to try and get him offline? Or does he want to get the best line he can to have the most top speed down the back straight? He doesn't get close, so this is good. Broström goes deep as well. That's going to slow him down, Bachmann. But now he's almost too close, actually. He's getting caught up on the back of him. Down this back straightaway and up ahead, it is going to be, of course, Marcus Byfeldt coming across the line to get his 12th victory in a row. What a remarkable season it's been. The drivers and constructors champion for nearly on pace comes across the line. He's won every single race since Laguna Seca back in the middle of February. Sundström will come across the line in second place, but for what we're seeing right now, Broström holds on in towards the chicane. Can he get the exit? It's a short run up towards the line, and Broström will just about hold on by about a car length for P6. What a finish that is there, as here's the nearly on-pace donuts to round out our season.
And quite rightfully, you burn it down after a race like that. He didn't get everything his own way. He had to fight really hard to get into that position. It took pace, it took a measured performance, and Marcus Byfeldt, you don't win this many races in a row without getting everything to be set up. He drives wonderfully, and when you consider the amount of reverse grid races he goes through as well from 15th, that's just talent, pure and simple. And, you know, Mikael Sundström gave it a good go. So did Adam Alterwilt. They're very good drivers in their own regard. But at the moment, you know, 105, absolutely brilliant in that McLaren.
So he got the fastest lap as well this time. So he got maximum points apart from the fastest lap in race number 1. That is remarkable once again from Marcus Byfeldt. So that's 12 in a row, 14 on the season. The only races he didn't win was the second race in Nürburgring and in Virginia. And it's a shame that Henrik Lindhoff actually wasn't here tonight to round out the season because he did such a good effort. But with Byfeldt in first, Sundström in second place, we believe that puts Sundström in second place in the championship ahead of Lindhoff as well. Alterwilt will be in third place, Holmer in fourth as he is in the championship. Rosqvist will be fifth with Broström, Bachmann, Svensson, Ulrichsen and Marcus Hagman getting the top 10 at the end. And what a season, to be honest, it has been for a couple of these drivers. A bit better than I was expecting. Magnussen, Norgrim, Stiller, Coulson and Kenneth Tier, the final drivers on the lead, lapped the top 15 with Schott, Giros, Kinnell, Pennings, Forsberg, the top 20. And then the final few drivers at the back. But of course, these guys were all many laps down with Graham, Big Crash, Filikovsky as well, and Sebastian Ullmann there 12 laps ago. And that ends our season. And what a HeXagon Nation Grand Prix it was. A double win for Marcus Byfeldt. Unfortunately, he won't be able to join us, but we'll try and get a word from some other drivers who join us in the commentary booth. Let's actually pick in Dan Holmer here, the number 79 for Sim Race Sweden. You had a solid evening of action there. The pace looks very good in your Mercedes AMG. How did you find this Suzuka circuit?
Terrible.
Despite your decent pace, you didn't enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. Maybe I should start driving with the automatic gearbox. Because my steering wheel, my right pedal and right clutch did break during the week.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you got around that nicely. I mean, it was a good season for you in the end. I think you were going to be 4th position. Is that a little bit better than you were expecting?
Absolutely. It was a fun season. I did expect the top 10, but being up in P4, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, it seemed like you had some good teammates around you. Just how much were you trying to support Henrik in the opening part of the season to try and challenge Marcus?
Every race. I did let Lindoff through pretty easily, and when the Bufelt come on, I did try to block him with all I had. But Bufelt is Bufelt, so yeah.
Yes,
he's too good. He is too good.
He is. That's 4 out of the last 5 championships in the road course side of things. What can you look forward to next season? I don't think we know what car we're going to do just yet, but how are you feeling on the road course side of things here?
Road course, yeah, I can drive anything, really, but yeah, the most I look forward to is the broadcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the nice words. It's good fun doing this league for another season. But thanks for talking to us, Dan, and we'll see you next season.
Absolutely.
All right, and then we will bring in his teammate Adam Altwell here, the number 2 machine, who was very fast. I mean, Adam, there was multiple rounds this season where you were very, very fast. Unfortunately, you had the big crash in that first race. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, I pushed a bit too hard, and then I went off on the green curb, and then I lost the control, which made me spin and crash.
Yeah, you certainly made up for it, though, in that second race. You made so many positions in that first 5 laps or so. It really set you up well. How much did you enjoy trying to follow Marcus and Mikkel through the field?
Yeah, it was a fun ride, actually. I tried to manage the speed and control to not spin, of course. And also plan about how much fuel I'm gonna fuel up.
And looking forward...
It was quite a fun drive.
Yeah, it certainly looked it. Looking forward to next season. Obviously, getting in podium positions now, it's looking really good. Do you think you can sneak a race win against the likes of Marcus or Henrik?
I can hope. It's a big accomplishment to do that. So we can see next season, maybe.
Yes, certainly. Well, good luck for that, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Cheers. And then lastly, we can bring in the man himself, Linus Broström, the number 71. Not always a road course driver, but Linus, I'd say that was a pretty successful season for you in your Polski Logistics BMW.
Yeah, overall the season's been great. Started off roughly where I expected to be, fighting around the top 15, missing out on the reverse pole, and then from race 2 onwards, I've been around the top 10 the whole time, and ending the season in 5th with our team finishing 3rd. That's, I mean, I don't even know what to say about those results compared to what we were expecting at the start of the season. It's like miles better than anything we could ever have imagined. So, I mean, obviously didn't get any wins or anything because Marcus is just too quick, but overall the season has been great and above expectations. And tonight both me and Kenneth struggled big time with understeer, especially through the SS, and I'm not sure if that was something that we did wrong or if that was something with my car that was wrong or something else, but still coming away with a P8 and a P6. It's decent, and I was able to defend my positions in the standings, which is basically what we wanted going into tonight, so can't complain too much.
Yeah, successful evening, and looking forward to the future. Is there anything different we can expect from the road course side of things, or have you not even got to the point of finalizing that?
Well, I was hoping to give some sort of hints tonight on what we can expect, but for various reasons, outside of sim racing, I'm way behind on that sort of planning. But we're gonna hold a team meeting here with everyone after the season is finished and get inputs from everyone and see what everyone wants. And in the end, we're probably gonna do something that the community wants to do. Because that's what brings in the drivers, and we don't want to host a series that only 10 people want to drive, and we'd rather host another GT3 season and get a full grid, or maybe Porsche Cup again, or F4s, or whatever. It's been a while since we did the open wheels, but it's all about what everyone wants to drive in the end.
Yeah, certainly a great community here, and we have one final race next week to round off this season back on the ovals as well. So yeah, good luck next week, and we'll hopefully speak to you then.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for this.
No worries, and certainly that rounds up this season. So that was the HeXagon Nation Grand Prix here from Suzuka, and what a way it was to round out the season. Marcus Byfeld confirming him as the drivers and teams champion, along with Mikael Sundström as well. We thank you for watching. It's been myself, Cam Roger, Jake Sperry alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And next week we have the final race of the Oval Series, where we go to Homestead, Miami. So same time, same place next week. On Thursday night is going to be the final there. Can Marcus Byfeld get the championship in the Oval stuff? That'll be pretty crazy indeed. But anyway, we thank you for watching, and until next week, we wish you a very warm goodbye.